It was like 23 years ago that the Lex Express, the slam heard round the world by Lex Luger. Vince McMahon just creaming himself all over the place for Lex Luger slamming Yokozuna. Guys, I was thinking about this. It was amazing, the buildup of this match. This whole thing was crazy. Or not the match, but this buildup of Lex Luger. Nobody can slam Yokozuna. Everybody's upset at Yokozuna. Everybody wants Lex Luger. Everybody wants somebody to slam Yokozuna. Everybody thought I think Hacksaw Jim Duggan tried to. I think lots of different people just tried to, and it didn't happen. And who would have thought that out of nowhere Lex Luger would show up and be the one to do it? And I know a lot of people say it's really weird because Lex Luger had been the narcissist and been this kind of egotistical asshat, and then all of a sudden he shows up to be the one to try to slam Yokozuna. And as a kid, you were like, no, this is crazy. Like, I think, did he show up in a helicopter? I don't even remember that now. But anyway, he slams Yokozuna. And then this whole buildup of the Lex Express and Lex Luger traveling around the country in this bus. It just is crazy. And right now I want to play a quick clip for you because Lex Luger was just interviewed by the Two-Man Power Trip Wrestling Podcast. Great guys over there. I want you to check out this little tidbit of Lex talking about the situation 23 years later.
Wow, 23 years. It was a magical moment. The build-up was incredible. I thought Vince was half crazy when he told the idea of me going from being a narcissist looking at mirrors with Bobby Heenan to being like the big Yankee Doodle Dandy patriotic hero on July 4th on the USS Intrepid. It was like I was scratching my head, but it turned out fantastic. It was just a very, very special moment. I couldn't have. The crowd went insane when that happened. Just the way Vince worked it all out, and it was a very, very special moment for myself and so many fans. Tell me who were either there or were watching it on television. What a great moment as well. Definitely one of the highlights of my career for sure.
If you guys want to hear more of that, there's much more of that to come from Two-Man Power Trip Wrestling Podcast. If you want to hear more of it, then you can check them out. Their YouTube page has published it. They have 272 subs on YouTube, but they've got over 30,000 followers on Twitter. And definitely check those guys out if you want to hear more of that interview. But one of the funniest things about this whole thing to me is how, all this buildup happened with Lex Luger and the Lex Express and all this stuff. And, then you get to WrestleMania 10. You finally get to WrestleMania 10. Yokozuna's the champion. And Lex Luger finally is there. He wins the Rumble with Bret Hart. They both go over at the same time, which I always wanted to know, and maybe people know this answer, but was this because they couldn't decide what to do, so they just figured, let's get them both there and we'll make the decision then? So for whatever reason, after all this buildup with Lex Luger, they get to WrestleMania 10, and then they have Mr. Perfect be a special referee and Roddy Piper be a special referee. But in the Mr. Perfect special referee match with Yokozuna, Lex Luger gets disqualified by stupid means. But the funniest thing was it made no sense at the time, right? Like, even as a kid, I was like, this makes no sense. Why did Mr. Perfect just all of a sudden want to ring the bell? Because he touched, Jim Cornette on the outside and Mr. Fuji. Who cares? But here's what I would have done. I mean, it was so easy for them to book it this way. Why didn't they do this? This is my question. I had questions like this at the time. At WrestleMania 9, the WrestleMania right before this WrestleMania, WrestleMania 9, Lex Luger wrestled Mr. Perfect. And Lex Luger essentially cheated because he used that plate or that... He had like a steel plate in his elbow. They were doing some gimmick where he had a plate in his elbow, and he was knocking people out with it, was Lex Luger. Mr. Perfect was wrestling him at WrestleMania 9 as a face. He knocked out Perfect at WrestleMania 9. And then Mr. Perfect went nuts looking for him. So why a year later didn't they just go ahead and, it was clear. It was only a year later at WrestleMania. Lex Luger's wrestling Yokozuna. Mr. Perfect The guy he has major heat with from last year's WrestleMania is reffing his match. Mr. Perfect does something dastardly and crazy, and they wonder why. Why did he do it? Why didn't they just say, remember what happened last year? You know what I mean? And why didn't they go into that more? And it would have been obvious to say, remember what he did to what Lex Luger did to him last year at WrestleMania. I don't think they acknowledged it, and if they did, it was for a quick second, and I really don't think they did at all, to be honest. It drives me nuts to this day. He could have gone into a whole program with Mr. Perfect. I feel like they never really. Maybe I'm incorrect with some of this stuff with remembering everything, but I don't know. I just feel like they could have done more, to sort of explain that away or explain the whole thing. You tell me. I don't know. I'm not sure. Now, I tweeted this to Road Dogg because I'm dying for it, man. About 14 years ago, I did this in the backyard, and I was like, I'd love to see someone start a wrestling match with this sequence. So let's go ahead and see if we can get a wrestling match to start with this sequence that I did with Gooey B a long time ago. Come on, somebody do it. Look at that. Reverse, nips back up. Reverse is me. I nip up. Reverse him again. Clothesline. Somebody make it happen. Or maybe Hurricane Rana right there would be awesome. Imagine that. Just out of nowhere. Look, bam, down he goes. Up he goes. Down I go. Up I go. Around. And now right here, just back up and then Hurricane Rana him. That would be great. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.